What should the Dolphins do with Tua and Fitzpatrick? If you guys didn't watch the game on Saturday, the Dolphins played the Raiders, and the Raiders were up on that game. Tua and the Dolphins offense was not going up and down the field. They were struggling to get drives going. It was frustrating. It was to watch as a neutral. If you're a Dolphins fan, I bet you were super frustrated just seeing the season slip away. We all know that Dolphins have to win out to keep that playoff position, and they have the Colts, they have the Browns, they have the Titans, the Ravens, even the Raiders that they were playing. They're all vying for that last playoff spot. Dolphins had to win to stay alive, to control their own destiny, especially playing the Bills in Week 17. Like, this scenario was just, it was. If you're a Dolphins fan, I know you were stressed out the day after Christmas. Don't need all that stress. That offense was not moving. And then Flores does the unthinkable, or what a lot of people would think it's unthinkable, but Flores has just done it this season. He pulls his franchise quarterback, his future. He pulls him and he inserts Fitzpatrick. And as soon as Fitzpatrick gets onto the field, he starts driving the Dolphins down the field. He starts sustaining drives. The Dolphins go field goal, touchdown, field goal with him on the helm, and he just looks great. He had a crazy play at the end of the season, at the end of the game. Raiders took a 2-point lead. They could have scored a touchdown, but they decided to run the clock down, kick the field goal. It's a 2-point lead. Dolphins get the ball back with 19 seconds left. Fitzpatrick steps up into the pocket. Raider lineman grabs him on the helmet. That's a roughing the passer, or they call it roughing the passer. His neck is getting yanked as he throws the football, throws it down the sideline, blown coverage, completes a beautiful pass down the sideline, plus 15 yards because of the roughing the passer. Now they're like in the 20 yard of the Raiders, or something like that, the 25. They kick a 44-yard field goal and they win the game. They walk out of Las Vegas. They beat the Raiders. Crazy finish. Fitzpatrick gets it done. Here's some numbers. Tua played like 3 and a quarter of the fourth quarter, and he threw for 94 yards on 22 attempts, 1 touchdown. Pretty abysmal numbers, if I do say so myself. It's less than 5 yards per attempt. It's almost 4 yards per attempt. Completion percentage is pretty high. He's like in the high 70s or in the 70s. 1 touchdown. But Tua is starting to just be Mr. Captain Checkdown. He does not force the ball down the field at all. He doesn't push it. He the more I see him, the more I see his limitations as a quarterback. His arm looks really, really weak, in my opinion. The velocity on the football doesn't look like it's there. It kind of looks like the ball hangs up in the air a lot when he throws it. And he does take care of the football, but even then, he's throwing a lot of passes from what I've seen in the season that should have been intercepted, and they just dropped it. Even against the Raiders this game, he threw a pass down the middle when he was rolling left, and it should have been intercepted. The defense just dropped it. But the offense with Tua is, you kind of want to pull your hair out. It looks very slow. It looks very predictable. Just check down, run it with your running back, do a draw play, and then he's not Tua. I thought he was more mobile. He looked more mobile in college, but I guess better athletes in the NFL. He does not look that mobile. He be scrambling and he gets 4 yards, and he has to throw himself on the ground because everybody's catching up and they're about to put a big hit on him. I might be judging Tua too hard right now, but he does. The offense does look way slower, less exciting, less. There's no threat of them going down the field. They gotta sustain long drives or hope a running back or somebody breaks a tackle. He's never really pushing it down the middle or down the sideline. It really is kind of hard to watch the offense when Tua's there. And then as soon as Fitzpatrick came in, he was pushing down the ball down the seam, down the sidelines. It was just, there was this pass he did to Gesicki on the first drive that was right down the middle. A beautiful throw. You could just tell the offense just looks way better with Fitzpatrick on the helm. The thing is, Fitzpatrick is also susceptible for just throwing the whole game away. He could definitely just have 3 or 4 interceptions in one game. We've all seen him done it with multiple teams. So that's where I'm like, all right, this is your franchise quarterback, so you got to give him playing time. You got to let him grow through his struggles. But Fitz just looks way better when he goes in there. So it's definitely It's definitely something to watch out. How is Flores gonna keep this going? If he plays Tua against the Bills and they lose and they miss out on the playoffs, how is that gonna sit with the locker room? That you could probably have a better chance of winning with Fitzpatrick, but because you're trying to give the keys to the car to Tua, you just keep playing him. And he's had some impressive games, but there's been a lot of games where you're like, okay, like his arm just doesn't look that great, his mobility doesn't look that great, and he's not pushing the ball down the field. And Fitz, he's old. He's like 36, 37 years old. So he's definitely not the future. So I get it. I get why you play Tua, but I worry for the locker room's sake. If the Dolphins lose to the Bills are still playing for seeding. Even if they win against the Patriots, they're still gonna be fighting for seeding positioning. So they do have somewhat of something to play for in Week 17, divisional rival too. You could eliminate them. I think they'll play their players, or at least if the game's in hand. If like the Dolphins take a big lead, then the Bills, I feel like they'll just concede and bench their players and not get injuries. But if the game's in limbo or they take a lead, I think they'll play their players. And if Tua struggles, which he could, the Bills defense has been playing a little better as of late. It's gonna be hard to keep that locker room together, especially and Tua. Here's another thing I want to think about. At the beginning of the season, I was defending him after one game when people were like, "Oh my God, he's struggling." I said there's like 10 games to be played. You got to give him a chance. Have you seen enough from Tua to keep him? He got drafted 5th overall. He fell to them, but have the Dolphins seen enough of Tua to keep him? Like now we're talking about the Cardinals. Now the Cardinals scenario is starting to really make sense. If you don't believe in Tua, because if you're benching him for Fitzpatrick, how highly do you think of him? Like I saw tweets kind of clowning on him. It's like, yeah, this is your team, but we really need to win this game, so I'm benching you for Fitzpatrick. I know everyone's reporting that it's been great. It's all dandy. It's all nice. Fitzpatrick and Tua don't have an ego. Like Tua doesn't mind getting benched for Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick doesn't mind not starting, even though he's playing better than Tua. And it's all perfect and it's all good. But if they lose to the Bills, if Tua has another poor showing, and we've seen what Burrow has done this season, we've all seen what Herbert has done this season, and how much quarterbacks with just physical, great talent, big arms, 6'6" could do for you. Do the Dolphins consider taking Justin Fields? They own the Texans pick, and right now, if the season ended after Week 16, the Texans would have the 3rd overall pick, which would be handed over to the Dolphins. And we all know the Jaguars are picking Lawrence, and the Jets are the number 2, and they've just won 2 games in a row where Darnold has looked pretty good, pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. He played good against the Rams. He played good against the Browns. So is there a scenario where the Jets don't take Justin Fields and he falls to 3 to the Dolphins? What do the Dolphins do at that point? You have Justin Fields, who has a bigger arm, who's more mobile than Tua. Do you do what the Cardinals did last year and move on, or 2 years ago, and move on from Rosen to get Kyle Murray? Is that in play now? Now that you have 10 games of Tua, are you impressed enough by Tua to not get Justin Fields? And Justin Fields has, a lot of people have some problems with him. They don't. Not everyone's on the Justin Fields hype train. That's what I'm saying. But do you consider that as a Dolphins? Dolphin fans out there, answer that for me. Is that a possibility if Justin Fields doesn't get taken by the Jets, number 2, falls to number 3 to the Dolphins? Are you considering taking Justin Fields and moving on from Tua, or is that too crazy? Because I mean, Tua has been fine. He's been all right. I feel like if we were like in 2000, like 4 or 5 for a rookie season, that would be more than dandy season. It'll be perfect. You put it in the books, you assess it, and you'll be like, oh, that's a great season by a rookie quarterback. But now in 2020, when QBs are playing earlier, they're not sitting anymore. They're having success real early. And the 2 quarterbacks in your draft class had great seasons. One of them ended shortly because of injury. Is that too crazy? I know Tua, he's still coming back from an injury, the hip. So maybe if you give him an offseason, he gets a little more sip on his arm. But I don't think it's too crazy of a thought to be considering about Justin Fields, especially if the barometer is Fitzpatrick. I mean, I love Fitzpatrick. I wanted him to be a franchise quarterback when the Bills had him, and he had that. I think he had like a 6 touchdown game against the Patriots or something like that, and that's like when Fitzmagic really started to pop off. I wanted him to become a franchise. I was rooting for him, but we all know what Fitzpatrick is throughout his season, throughout his years. He's a great journeyman quarterback, and he could definitely help groom a quarterback, but he's not a franchise quarterback. You shouldn't be losing QB battles to Fitzpatrick if you really are the future, in my opinion. Even if you're a rookie, or maybe if you're a rookie, that's a pass. But maybe I'm just being too harsh on Tua. But the difference was night and day. You can't ignore the difference. And the Raiders have a abysmal defense. It's not like Tua was playing against a great defense. That's another point. The Raiders have one of the worst defenses, and the Chargers had just played the Raiders the weekend before. Justin Herbert had just torched that defense. Same rookie class, both rookies, and it was night and day. I know the Chargers have a little bit better weapons, but what's his name? Allen was hurt. He hardly played against the Raiders. He was throwing to a bunch of undrafted free agents. And Tua has Flores, and Herbert has Lynn. So, I mean, I don't know. The eye test is kind of not there so far this season with Tua. He looks a little slow. His arm looks a little weak. What do you do? If you were the Dolphins coach, what would you do? Would you play Fitzpatrick week 17? Or you stick it out with Tua? Or you do the same thing? Start with Tua, keep the game close, and then have Fitzpatrick come in and win it? That could work. Because Fitzpatrick could throw the game away during the whole course of the game. And if you just put him at the end, he might just be the spark you need. But I don't know. A real interesting situation with the Dolphins. I'm excited to see how it plays out. I'm excited to see who he starts. I think he said Tua's going to start, but we would never know with coaches. I'm excited to see who starts, if they win, if they get in the playoffs, who gets to start in the playoffs. If they don't win, if Tua plays bad and they miss the playoffs, the reaction of the locker room, the reaction of the fans. And then I'm excited to see how the Texans finish out. If the Dolphins get a top 3 draft pick, what do they do? If Justin Fields falls to them, what do they do? Honestly, I don't think he'll fall to them, so that'll be a moot point. They won't even have the chance to make that happen. But if it does happen, that'll be crazy. I'll be watching out for the Dolphins pick if that does happen.